Hey guys, moving on to the next part of the French Revolution, and probably the one part that when you think of the French Revolution, most people think of, and that's called the Reign of Terror. This is when the French Revolution is going to get out of control. To get us started, it's going to start with a committee called the Committee of Public Safety. They were established in April 1793, and in response to some of those internal crises, mostly those problems that were pushing the radicals that we talked about at the end of the last video. Its panel of 9 later becomes 12, and they're all elected convention members. They all start out as members of the National Convention, and they get elected to this committee. Their priority is to defend France's borders, because remember, we talked about before, England, the Dutch Republic, a couple other countries were going to start invading France to try and quench the rebellion and restore the monarchy. So this committee is designed to protect the borders of France and stop that from happening. First led by Danton, once again somebody we talked about in the last video, and later replaced by the guy I told you, remember, Robespierre in July 1793. And their adopted policies known as the Reign of Terror, and we'll talk about some of those policies here in a sec. Given power to rule over France in December 1793. So effectively, if you're in charge of the Committee of Public Safety, you are in charge of France. Revolutionary Tribunal, a court instituted by National Convention, prosecute traitors and counter-revolutionaries. Anybody who did not agree with the revolution would go forth in front of this court. Became main arm of the Reign of Terror. Many were arrested and tried on suspicion rather than proof, and accused had few, if any, rights. Responsible for an estimated 20,000 to 40,000 deaths. Most died using common methods of execution. Death by guillotine, most closely associated with tribunals and Reign of Terror. Marie Antoinette and Olympe de Gouges among victims. Death by guillotine. Evidence decapitation machines have been used previously in history, so these guys are not the first to invent this or to decapitate somebody. Dr. Joseph Ignace Guillotine created this particular model in 1792, meant to be humane, quick, and painless, made executions more efficient. Responsible for approximately 1/3 of all executions during the Reign of Terror. So we're talking several thousands of people will go and have their head chopped off by the guillotine. And not only would they cut your head off, as you can see in the picture, how you would be laying down and how the blade would come down and just cut your head off, but they would grab your head out of that basket that's right there, as you can see in the picture, and they would place it on top of a one stick, and they would place your head, they would lift your head up, on that one stick in front of everybody to watch you cheer. I don't know if you guys know this, but the head can actually stay alive for about 8 to 10 seconds after it's separated from the body. So effectively, the last thing that you are seeing is people cheering your death. And that was just kind of like a final kick in the face before you actually die. Victims of the terror. The Revolutionary Army also took part in executions. So effectively, every part of the revolution that started to overthrow the king is going to become part of the Reign of Terror. Majority of executions took place in towns that openly rebelled against National Convention. So Lyon, Nantes, those are the two big ones. People from all classes were killed during the Reign of Terror. About 85% from the third estate and 15% from the clergy and the nobles. Take a guess as to who was ruling the Reign of Terror. I'm sure you can guess by looking at the people who were killed and seeing who is not there. Effectively, the second state are the ones who will be leading this Reign of Terror more than anybody. Also, you're going to have many more people from the third estate dying, just because there are so many more of them than the other two estates. Republic of Virtue. Democratic Republic composed of good citizens. Idea came from Robespierre. Yes, I know I am misspelling right there. Could only be achieved through use of terror. So having this Republic of Virtue would only happen whenever you are effectively terrorizing the rest of the citizenry. Shaping of French society for after revolution. Law passed to provide a primary education for all. Slavery abolished in French colonies. Remember, Robespierre was actually, in terms of slavery, was actually a decent guy. He wanted everybody treated equally. Price controls on food, fuel, and clothing, and De-Christianization. I'm sure you can guess what that means just from the name. But De-Christianization believed that the National Convention believed that religion encouraged superstition rather than reason, so that you are not actually using your brain when you are practicing Christianity. You are just using superstition and your belief rather than actually logic. Adopted policies to attack religion. Word saint removed from street names. Notre Dame turned into a temple of reason. So Notre Dame goes from being a Catholic church into what's called a temple of reason. New calendar. Years numbered from 22nd of September, first day of the French Republic. 12 months consisting of 3 10-day weeks, eliminated Sundays, and church holidays. Months were given new names. Pretty much everything that the Catholic Church had worked throughout history to set up and create and work for, these guys are going to try and take away. Everything as little as the month names were not sacred, were not safe. They work to change every little thing that the church has set up. Levée en masse. France needed soldiers to fight coalition forces. Coalition member of the European countries that are trying to invade and restore the monarchy. Attempts made to recruit soldiers unsuccessfully. National Convention decided on a draft in August 1793, and that is what's known as the Levée en masse. All citizens became required to contribute to the war effort. So any guy who was unmarried, able-bodied between about 18 to 25 is going to go to battle. Married men forge arms and transport provisions. Women would make tents and clothing and serve in hospitals. And then children and elderly were also encouraged to engage in tasks, although they were not actually given specific tasks like the other groups of people. They were just kind of there as support and were to take orders from somebody else. By doing this, they will raise about 1 million men by September 1794. End of the terror. Foreign war going well. Suggestions come to let up on the terror in early 1794. Convention members raised opposition to continuing terror. Opposition, of course, arrested, tried, and executed. George Danton goes to guillotine in early April. Members of the National Convention become worried for their own lives. They are tired of the bloodshed. Robespierre is arrested, tried, and executed in late July. And once he is killed, executions then will start slowing dramatically. So it definitely looks like Robespierre was the one who was really fueling this bloodshed, this desire to try, convict, and execute anybody who does not agree with the National Convention, or particularly Robespierre. So that's it for the Reign of Terror. We're going to be doing some stuff in class to kind of dig into the Reign of Terror. But if you have any questions, feel free to write them down, and we'll talk about them during class the next time we're in class. So I will talk to you guys next time. You guys have a good rest of your day, night, morning, whatever it is, but have a good one.